What's going on, everybody? Your man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena, alongside Ruth the Truth, Ruth Caguias from Sports Talk, Florida, and of course, my man, Jake Rongholt, telling both sides of the story and Turning Point Podcast, joining me here tonight. Good evening to the two of you. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, good to be here. It's good to see you.
It's another day in pandemic world. You know?
This is a great way to start the Monday, though, is getting together with you guys, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is one of my favorite parts of the week.
And I appreciate you guys joining me. So, we've got a couple things to discuss this evening. The first thing, of course, we're going to discuss is what's going on in the world of NASCAR. Follow that up by a WNBA star by the name of Miss Renee Montgomery, who has made she's made some decisions with regards to the WNBA in the 2020 season. And then, of course, Ruth the Truth's quarterback, Dak Prescott, pretty much looking to sign the franchise tag, getting paid $31.4 million. We will get to all that here this evening on the Sports Arena, but I definitely want to take a moment and start this conversation by saying this is going to be one of those uncomfortable conversations, one that we need to talk about and one that needs to be had. You know, the ESPYs were last night, and the ESPYs were a great thing. You know, it was an opportunity for athletes to come together, support each other, recognize each other, but more importantly, using their platform to continually talk about the problems that exist in this world and how they and how we all should kind of adapt this new change. After watching 2 hours of the ESPYs, I had such a good feeling in myself, and I had such a refreshing outlook on the progress that we're making, not just on our level, but globally. And then, as Scott Van Pelt comes on, immediately following the ESPYs, we get breaking news that in Bubba Wallace's garage, someone hung a noose. And to go from such a elated and just a positive feeling to be thrown back into just the horrible, disgusting world that we live in and the ugliness that exists, I have to say, my night was ruined. I had to take a moment not only to collect myself, but that anger that has been inside of me for so long that I thought I was starting to finally release in a positive manner, just all came welling back to me. And I think Marty Smith, who covers NASCAR for ESPN, he said it best. He's like, I do not want this moment. I don't want people to be like, well, see, there's NASCAR just being NASCAR. And I will say to Marty, it's very difficult for someone who looks like me not to feel that way. But I'm going to do my best to give NASCAR the moment to rectify the situation, find the individual who did such a heinous act, and as they say, eradicate them from NASCAR completely. Ruth, I want to go to you because I want to get your feelings as a woman in sports. You know, what is this? How does this speak to you?
Well, first off, Eric, I definitely want to take a moment and tell you that I feel your pain and I understand where you're coming from. And I may not be in your position where it's affected you personally, but I'm doing this fight and I stand by you and I completely understand your feelings. With that being said, I am, in a sense, thinking of this in a positive way, because right now the world is looking at this particular situation that we've been facing for so long, but right now it's on such a platform where everybody's paying attention and people are starting to show face and people are starting to show the things that people thought was behind doors that we were past. They're starting to be for the public to see. So it's giving more people a reason to fight. So I want to go ahead. People that are racist, keep showing your faces, because you will be rectified and you will be put to justice. And if you refuse to learn and educate yourself, then you deserve to be exposed.
Yeah, it is a really saddening day right now. Finding that out late last night, one of our contributors, Alex Fleming, gave And to be honest, I couldn't believe that this is the year 2020 and this is what somebody thought would be a heck of an idea. And, you know, Dan Patrick said it best this morning on his show. This is a hate crime, and whoever is caught, he or she should be prosecuted and put to the full justice of the law, because this is insane. Why are we even thinking that this is a hot idea? And it comes back to this too, is that there is this backlash that we knew was going to happen in NASCAR. Michael Wilbon talked about it when this all went down. When NASCAR took away the Confederate flag, I went on their Twitter and I wanted to see what people were saying about it. And it was some of the most degrading, depressing, disgusting things I've ever heard. And like I said, we could continue to say that this is the year 2020, but racism doesn't have a year. It just needs an end date. And unfortunately, it just continues on this way. I give a lot of credit to Bubba Wallace standing up like this. I love the way NASCAR has come back firing. I thought this picture that we're looking in the background right now, it's a thing of unity. I like that Clint Boyer came out, Dale Earnhardt Jr. came out, and we also just found out this too. They're currently in the middle of the Geico 500. Bubba Wallace, even though he started in front as they pushed his car up front, he started off at 28th, and he's already gone up to 7th, and they have nearly 30 laps to go currently as we are taping this. So it just goes to show that, yes, there's going to be backlash. There's going to be evil out there. But in the end, good is going to conquer. And if Bubba Wallace wins this race, or at least places top 5, this is going to be a huge small step forward.
Yeah. And you know, I, as someone who is very minutely followed NASCAR, you know, I know of the sport and I knew kind of the meaning behind it, but you know, this is, to my own detriment, me learning about what exists for this sport. You know, my focus is football, basketball, hockey, baseball, you know, golf to some degree, tennis to some degree, but I never really got into NASCAR. And maybe it's because of Bubba Wallace that I finally said to myself, you know what, maybe I need to pay attention to this, because there is someone who does not look like the norm when you think of NASCAR, who is actually a pioneer, if you will. Now, I know there have been others prior to Bubba Wallace, but he is, in my mind, the outstanding piece of this. So
he's the only African American race car driver right now. So
yes,
we need to have his back, and he needs to stand his ground, because he can't let people like this run him out of NASCAR, because he has such a strong pillar in this right now.
Right.
So he needs the world to know that we have his back completely.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. You're 100% correct, Ruth. And I have his back in everything. And I love that he took a quote from his own mother saying, this is someone trying to tear you down. And Bubba is like, this is not going to tear me down. This is going to make me even stronger than I was before. And I am very supportive of the fact that the organization itself is also taking a stand and kind of giving me the platform to be able to be successful and do what I love. And that's all that it boils down to, is that opportunity to be on that level with your counterparts and truly let your skill level, let your talent, let your will to win be the determining factor.
And it just goes,
go
sorry, go ahead.
No, finish. Go ahead, Jake.
I'm just saying, it's just another example of choosing to educate yourself or not. And some of these small-minded people, these cowards, have decided not to do that. And this is what they're basically saying. I'm falling on what I learned from my values and all this. And well, your values are completely ass backwards. I'm just going to flat out say it, because it is.
Outdated.
It's insulting. It is insulting that I had to wake up this morning. You hear this across every sports radio platform today, that this was the top story. This had to be talked about.
And I'm glad that we are magnifying this, so people understand that you are going to be brought to light. If you are going to keep thinking with this type of mindset, you're going to be exposed, and you're going to have to either be forced to, you know, confine and change your ways, or you're just going to not have anybody on your side, because it's the year 2020. We're moving on.
Yeah. And you're right, Ruth. And the one thing that really makes me happy is that the FBI is doing an investigation on this. That was the first thing that they did.
Big dogs are in the house.
And the one thing that really got to me the most was a lot of people were like saying, oh, where's the photo? Where's the photo? Where's the camera footage?
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
that's
and they were like calling him Bo Smollett on us on Twitter today. And I said, let me
yeah.
give you a little, you want to, okay, so you want to compare that? Let me give you a little tip here. It took nearly a month for Jussie Smollett's story to become false, okay? If you really honestly think we're going to get answers to every single little detail of what happened to in Bubba Wallace's garage, you're not going to. It's going to take some time here. So right now we have to take the small victories, which is right now Bubba Wallace in the top 10 in the Geico 500 right now. That is looking like he's going to have a possible top 10 finish if he continues to stay this way. That's what we have to look at right now. Until then, we have to just continue to just do what we have to do. Donate, listen, 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 listen. Conversations. I've had buddies that I've talked to over and over. During Juneteenth, I was texting them, just saying, look, I got your back. I'm right here. You want to talk? I'm all for it. I'm going to be asking questions. That's all we can do right now. So until then, just take the small victories and just understand that when this investigation is done, when NASCAR is done, they are going to find the person that did this, or people. And you could have just been more than just one person, because how in the world did they even get into this garage?
Yeah.
Apparently, the FBI has already obtained lists of people that have had access to that area and what times they were there, and specifically. And I also want to give a little bit of time to give everyone a history of the magnitude of leaving a noose like that, a rope like that, like what that signifies. There was a man that he was pretty much one of the biggest, cases in history that has had a lynching case. His name is Emmett Till. If he would have not been lynched and murdered, he would be 78 years old today. And the woman who wrongfully accused him of doing an act which he did not do, who actually later admitted that she lied about it, is still alive. And the people who committed the act that were found not guilty, are still walking around today, and it still hasn't been brought to justice. So I just want to give everyone how long is the problem and what that noose represents.
Yeah. So thank you both for providing that insight. And I will say that both of you have presented it in a much better and more professional light than I have. So let me just say that.
Thanks, guys.
With that, I do want to transition over to a couple different things. We talked about a young lady, Ruth and I talked about it. She actually brought it to my attention, but Renee Montgomery, a woman in the WNBA, another athlete who was drafted back in 2009.
15, yeah.
Yeah, she plays for the Atlanta Dream. She's a point guard. She has made the decision, much like Kyrie Irving and several others in the NBA, with the WNBA, she has made the decision that she is going to sit out this season. Now, granted, it's only a 20-game season, and they're supposed to be playing it here in Bradenton, Florida at the IMG Academy. But she does not, she's another one of these individuals who does not want to take away from, what is going on and the conversation. So I will ask the same question that I asked of Kyrie and Dwight. I will ask the two of you, does or should Renee Montgomery sit out this season? Even though it is a shortened season, should she sit out? Jake, I'll start with you.
Well, before I get into that, I just want to give a little breaking news. Right now, Bubba Wallace is in first place at the Geico 500. They are at lap 161 of 188.
There you go.
That's all I got.
Bring home that championship, baby. Bring home that trophy.
I love what Renee Montgomery did, because this was an individual decision. This was not a league decision. This was not a Players Association decision. This was an independent decision. If she decides, I'm going to put my paycheck to the side, I'm going to put my time as a basketball player to the side to fight a movement that I care deeply for, I give all the credit in the world. I will never rip on anybody who decided to make an independent decision like this. I give a lot of credit to Renee Montgomery because, as you know, we saw it in NASCAR today. We are so far away from what the movement is trying to accomplish here, and it is going to take months, years, possibly, until some change is going to happen. And if Renee Montgomery wants to do the exact same thing that Colin Kaepernick did back in 2016, which was fight police brutality, and she decides, to hell with my paycheck, I want to be an activist, let her. Because if that's what she wants, let her do it. I give so much credit in the world for somebody that decides to do this.
I have her back 100%. I mean, being a woman and being, active with the WNBA, I applaud her for putting aside her job, putting aside her career, something she's very passionate about, and to take initiative and take the time to say, you know what, this is more important than basketball. This is more important than a paycheck. This is something that I want to spend my time and dedicate my hours to. And I applaud her for doing that. I mean, she did spend a little bit of time in Minnesota when she played for the Minnesota Lynx. So I feel like she kind of maybe feels a little personal related to, the situation that, happened in Minnesota with George Floyd and everything. So yeah, I'm excited to see what she's going to do for the fight for social injustice.
I am, again, I always look at it from the platform of, or from the standpoint, shall I say, and I guess this is me, Jake, kind of taking a page out of your book and telling both sides of the story. As a Black woman, which I am not, in this country, you are seen a lot of times as a double minority. So when you elevate yourself to such a level and you have a platform, I am always under the assumption, if you will, that your obligation should be, since you have this platform, use it and use it to speak out on those issues, because you have the cameras facing you and you have the opportunity to speak on those things that weigh heavily on your mind and on your heart. That being said, going to the other side of it, like Jake said, this was an independent decision made by her. So her attention and her focus is truly on making sure that we do see a definitive change. And for that, as always, I will applaud her the same way I will applaud anybody. I am just, and again, this is me. If I have a platform to use and people are going to spend their money and their time listening to me, then I want to make sure that I get my message out there. So, but again, I applaud her, and I want her to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. But I have to say, for this particular one, yeah,
and during an interview on ESPN that she had earlier today, I believe, she admitted that she's a complete germaphobe. And during the whole quarantine, she never left her apartment for 7 weeks straight in Atlanta. But as soon as this protesting started, she was out there with the protesters handing out water. She was being involved. So that spoke magnitude, that she was willing to step out of her comfort zone to take a stand. And she continues to do that by saying she's not going to play.
And it also shows too, I mean, if she's a germaphobe and we're dealing with the pandemic right now, where we're getting numerous spikes state by state right now, why would you even risk your career doing that? Because here's another thing too. I mean, this might be a good sign to know that, the NBA is going to have outbreaks coming up here. Yeah, we know that they're going to be landing in Orlando this week. They're going to be getting ready. But remind yourself, we are just a couple of days away to know what NBA players are going to be actually in this bubble. And if people like Renee Montgomery decide, I want to be an activist over being a basketball player right now because of a pandemic, so be it. Because right now we are in neutral in the sports world. Aside from NASCAR, UFC, we don't know if NBA is going to survive, if baseball is going to come back, if the NFL is going to start on time. It's a day-by-day basis, and we need to just understand that right now. So, I mean, I give all the credit in the world to Renee Montgomery, and keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Jake, because she's not going to just sit there and wait to see if a season is going to start in the next coming months. She's going to make a stand right now and say that she's going to work towards that now, and she doesn't care about the pandemic.
Right. So speaking of the NFL, Jake, good segue into finally, Ruth. Ruth, your quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I know. I guess Dak finally decided that he is officially going to put pen to paper, sign the franchise tag, and be paid $31.4 million for this season. So this is your boy. Let's hear from you.
I'm very excited. I mean, I knew that things would turn around for our Dallas Cowboys. We definitely have seen Dak Prescott as a huge leader during, since his rookie start when he won 11 games straight. and beat the Eagles, I believe, twice that season. Yeah. We've had a pretty good record against your Eagles so far with Dak Prescott holding the reins. So I'm excited. And I know that he's going to show out this season because he's going to prove to the Dallas Cowboys why he deserves that paycheck and why he should be our, franchise quarterback for the next 4 years. I'm excited. Man, I hope the NFL starts. Woo!
Yeah, it's less more about Dak Prescott signing this than it is the Dallas Cowboys, because the Dallas Cowboys have basically said, look, we got a 2 to 3 year window to try and become a Super Bowl champion, because they're giving all of this money to lots of their players. We're talking Amari Cooper. We're talking Ezekiel Elliott. We're talking Gerard McCoy, Don Terry Poe. I mean, they're giving all this money to them, so hopefully it happens. But I give a lot of credit. I understand what Dak Prescott did here. He did the right thing. $31 million. You got a brand new football coach in there. Mike McCarthy, that did a great job with Aaron Rodgers when he was with the Green Bay Packers. I think Dak's going to have a better year with McCarthy. But now you have this, because now you don't have that excuse of using Jason Garrett as that pin cushion. It's going to fall on you. Even though you were a top-tier quarterback when you were winning, when you were losing, you had 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in your 8 losses last year. So even though you had a quarterback rate of 120 during your wins, your losses, you dropped down to 83. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. Not in Mike McCarthy's offensive package. You're going to be running a West Coast offense. You're going to have CeeDee Lamb. You're going to have Michael Gallup, and you're going to have Cooper. So now the excuses are gone. This is your true time to betting on yourself. And if he really wants that contract, this is the starting point.
Absolutely.
So a couple of questions I have for both of you with regards to this.
Bring it on in.
And I'm going to start with Ruth because she is the Cowboys fan. In your eyes, what do you consider to be a winning season to where Dak will get a contract that is befitting of him? What do you think the record needs to be for Dallas in order for Dak, after this season, to go back to the table and say, okay, here is what I've done. Now pay me what I'm worth.
Okay, you have to win the division over the Eagles for me and for yourself, first and foremost, and win until you make it to a Super Bowl. Make a Super Bowl appearance would give him his right to bring an offer to the table and be like, this is what I'm worth, sign the paper.
A Super Bowl appearance.
A Super Bowl appearance.
Do something that Danny White has only done. Get to an NFC championship. If you can get to an NFC championship game for the first time since 1995, which the Dallas Cowboys have not done yet, that's going to be your moment. Get to an NFC championship. If you're hosting it or you're not hosting it, at least you are showing underneath McCarthy's system that you are the quarterback for the job. If you get Mahomes-style numbers, I mean, let's be honest. Dak Prescott had 30 touchdowns last year. But if you can be able to eclipse that, how about 37 to 39 touchdowns, a low interception percentage, and then be able to have a 12-13 win record, then Dak Prescott is going to show that, okay, even though 2020 wasn't our year, 2021, we're going to get back there. So prove to the Dallas Cowboys that you can win a playoff game and get to an NFC championship. Because, like I said, the Cowboys have not even seen that since 1995.
And they can't lose easy games. There's no losing to the Jets. There's no losing to the Giants. There's no excuses for those type of losses. You just can't. It can't happen.
Okay. All right. Here's my take on the whole Dak Prescott situation.
Ruth's getting comfortable now. She's like,
I will speak as a fan of the Eagles, and then I will speak unbiasedly. Let me go unbiased first.
Okay.
Unbiasedly, I'm glad that this contract negotiation for right now is over. Did Dak get paid what he was worth? No, he did not. Based on his record, the man went from, coming in and having to basically be a starter in the NFL, prove that he was worth more than just a 4th round pick, and has proven, at least within the division, that you have to beat Dak at his own game. And if you can't do that, Dak will just let Zeke run all over you. He will even use his feet when necessary. And ultimately, he will get the job done. That's the unbiased side of it.
I need to see a couple front flips into the end zone again.
So now let me take it from a different standpoint, and let me take it from where my heart is. Here is what I will say to Dak. You just went from making $2 million a year to $31.4 million. I don't know how much of that is guaranteed or if it's all guaranteed because it's the franchise tag. You now have a responsibility. And Ruthie hit the nail on the head. You have to beat Philadelphia first and foremost. That's what you have to do.
Yeah,
if you want to have another one of those 37-10 games, then you damn sure better make sure that you have it consistently throughout this season, because you have teams outside of the division, such as a Green Bay, such as a New Orleans, who are coming for you. Because right now, the opportunity that lays in front of us, should the NFL season come to fruition and we are granted a 2020 season, everything goes through the NFC South. That is how I see it, which means only one team is coming out of the NFC East. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Dak does not find a way to beat Philadelphia and win the NFC East, then from that point forward, you better accept whatever deal is given to you. Because that says to me, you don't have the heart to get it done. You can have all the athleticism, all the skill, and the drive in the world, but if you ain't got this, you might as well forget about it.
Absolutely.
And go back to 2012. What was one guy that said, bet against me? I bet you I'm an elite quarterback. Joe Flacco. Yep. What happened? Joe Flacco got a $115 million thank you card from the Baltimore Ravens after they won a Super Bowl for him. Yep. So if he is able to do that, have one of the greatest postseasons in NFL history, even though his career after that did not come to fruition like a lot of people thought, he still did it. So if Dak Prescott believes that he wants that thank you card from the Dallas Cowboys, then get to the NFC Championship. Give this fan base, give this team the understanding that you are going to be the first quarterback since Troy Aikman to get the Dallas Cowboys to Super Bowl, or at least chance at the Super Bowl.
Right.
Ruth, go ahead.
We need Dak to be Troy Aikman, and we need Emmitt Smith to just take over Zeke's body.
Don't.
I'm putting that into existence.
No, don't do that.
We're gonna get to the Super Bowl.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
You can say that.
When that happens, I'm putting this on air right now. When that happens, I am putting a lovely blue navy star somewhere tattooed on this temple.
Yeah, you have fun with that. You have fun with that. I'm gonna
let
you
do Mom.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at the Sports Arena. I want to thank Ruth the Truth, Ruth Caguias from Sports Talk Florida, and my man Jake Rongholt, Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story. Your man Eric Wilson. Everyone have a great evening. Let's all be nice to each other and get through this pandemic together. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.
Enjoy
have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for having us.